home for the last 75 years at Argosy Cruises. Originally, it was just one man in a boat, Captain Campbell.
This is Seattle. Listen to history, guys.
Water taxi from here at Pier 55 to my current new little
They're gonna show you around Seattle, and they're gonna give us the history.
That's gonna be Manchester, Washington. It's not a very big town. It's not very
This
exciting.
is downtown
We've got a post
Seattle.
office, a library, a realtor, a restaurant, and a bar, and a dock. That is it. That's all it's there. You know, all the houses and whatnot. But it's a nice little town. Not that exciting though. So going back and forth to good old Manchester, Washington wasn't that popular, but people were still riding the boat. But they were riding it because Captain Lynn Campbell liked to tell stories. They liked to listen to them. So after 2 years, he changed to Seattle Harbor Tours and started going round and round in circles around this harbor here. After many years, in the 90s, we had so many offerings that we changed the name to Argosy Cruises. We've been that ever since. Some of our fun offerings that we do here.
So guys, this is Seattle, Washington
kind of see
State,
behind Alki back there to the left.
West Coast. So
we don't do that
wanted to
anymore,
listen to
but it's a
history
very, very cool place
of
to
the
visit.
city.
We do
Right here,
Locks
we
tour,
are.
which I highly suggest, and we do lots of pirate charters. One of my favorite things that we do here is we have to take kids out to Vashon Island for their summer camps, and I think that's really, really fun. Now off the right-hand side, we've got a gentleman waving at us. Let's all wave back. Yes, just one hand. You use two, that means Coast Guard's going to get involved. Nobody wants that. Hey, that man is standing right there in front of the Great Wheel of Seattle, which is kind of a brand new fixture here. Built in 2017. It's a bit of a surprise to everyone, including us here at Argosy and the Seattle City Council. But, you know, it isn't a surprise. In fact, we tore down the double-decker highway that used to go across the waterfront here. That's right. We are beautifying the whole waterfront. That double-decker highway used to take from the south end by the stadium. It would go up, turn under Electric Street here, go under the hill, and drop you out by South Lake Union. We now have a big tunnel. We used Big Bertha to dig that tunnel, and it got stuck for a while, so it took a little extra time. But we don't need to talk about that. Now, we have something that did get built and finished pretty much on time. This brand new structure you're seeing off the right-hand side behind the Seattle Aquarium is a part of the Seattle Aquarium. It's that wood-slatted area. That is the new Ocean Pavilion. Definitely worth visiting. Has anybody been to the aquarium already? Got some back there? Some back there? Nice, nice. The aquarium is one of my favorite places to visit on the waterfront. If I could go more often, I would. I haven't actually yet to go and see the Ocean Pavilion there. Now, you notice all those people going up and down those stairs to this very nice little boardwalk area. This is an open park pier right here. You can go down there. There's a little tiny soccer field. You can play a little tiny soccer with lots of seats so you can hang out. But you go up those stairs, and those stairs take you directly up to Pike Place Market for the first time ever without having to cross a bunch of streets. Go up those stairs, go up to the left, and you're in Pike Place Market without going up a street, around the corner, up the stairs, up an elevator, yada, yada, yada. It keeps going on. But Pike Place Market is definitely a great spot to visit if you haven't gone already. You definitely should. It is the place to get the freshest flowers, the freshest fish, and apparently pasta. Yeah, that's a good pasta out there. Not like already made pasta, but like pasta you take home. Definitely suggest you head on up there and find lots and lots of great things. It's not just tourist trap, it's locals love to go up there. Anytime I want my fish or my flowers, that is where I go. It is absolutely farm to table. The man who grows it, woman, whoever, they will hand it directly to you for cash. That's right, bring cash. It's definitely not the place for a credit card, because a lot of those folks are literally driving there that morning and handing it to you, and they love cash instead of credit cards. But definitely spend some time looking through Pike Place Market. It's 5 levels deep, and I bet you cannot find all of them. It's pretty hard to weave your way through those hallowed halls just past the fish. It's pretty tough to find everything in there. My favorite place in there is going to be Golden Age Comics, where you can find all sorts of comics, cards, games, action figures, and things like that. You can find movie scripts in there. That's one of my favorite things that they have. Like full-on, you know, Star Wars, Lord of the Rings, whatever movie scripts you're looking for, they probably have a copy of it there for you. Super fun. That is the longest-standing comic book shop in the United States, Golden Age Comics. Big fan. Now off the right-hand side, we've got Bell Harbor Marina, where you can keep some of your private vessels. And on the outside here is a cruise ship terminal. That's why it kind of looks like an airport. This cruise ship terminal takes people all the way up to Alaska. If you're looking for Alaska cruise during the summer, this is the place to go. But during the winter, we don't run Alaskan cruises because the waters are treacherous. If you've ever heard of Deadliest Catch, that is absolutely what it can be like up there in Alaska during the winter. Pretty rough, not great for a cruise ship. But even though we only operate for 6 months out of the year, we are the 3rd busiest cruise ship terminal in the United States. And this is only one of the 3 of our cruise ship terminals right here. So not all of them come down here. Some of the smaller cruise ships stop at this one. The larger ones go up to Pier 91 that I will tell you about a little bit later. Now we are cruising up alongside this great building with the big orange E on top of it. That's going to be the Edgewater Hotel. Edgewater Hotel has a fun history. They built that in 1962 for the 1962 World's Fair. That was a 6-month-long World's Fair. And can anybody guess how many people stayed at that hotel during that 6-month-long World's Fair? Absolutely none. But that's approximately how many were supposed to come through. With 6 to 10 million. So 8 million is a pretty good guess. If they had finished in time to be open for the World's Fair, that definitely would have been a possible number. But yeah, definitely give them a wave over there. We love waving at people on the shore, at other boats, absolutely anywhere. But yes, due to construction delays, floor planning, whatever you want to call it, they did not finish building this hotel until 2 weeks after that 6-month-long World Fair. So they had to get a little clever, figure out how to get people through the door. One of the ways they did this was by advertising Baby Tackle magazines that you can fish right out the window at the Edgewater Hotel. Look at those nice flat windows, it's perfect for them, right? Well, until you get the fish inside the hotel, that is not the best thing, I can tell you. But they did hand you a rod reel and bucket upon checking in, and if you need anything else, there was a big tackle shop down the lobby also. Now, this didn't quite fully set them up for life. The thing they did next was they invited the Beatles to come stay there. During 1964 on their World Tour, they could not find any other hotel to take them. That's right, the Beatles had such rabid fans. They were known for destroying the property around wherever the Beatles happened to be. And so, no other hotel in Seattle would have them. The Edgewater Hotel, however, they thought to themselves, well, we got 3 sides to water, just 1 to land. Should be alright. Yeah, no, it was not. Yeah. They tried to paddle around using rowboats and climb up inside the building. They tried to sneak in through the laundry. Let me tell you, those Beatles fans are rabid. But they stuck their heads out the window and had a picture taken. Around the same photo put on Life magazine that year. That really cemented the Edgewater Hotel as Seattle's rock and roll hotel, the only hotel on the water directly. It's literally the only place you can stay for 24 hours on the water. Every other building here on the waterfront is illegal to stay for 24 hours at a time. Speaking of which, here at Pier 70 on the right-hand side, they once started to do the exact same thing, have people stay here for 24 hours. They did that during the Real World Seattle. It was supposed to be a reality TV show with some young kids, 21 plus, where they give them lots of alcohol and just film what happens. But they all had to get jobs here in Seattle, and they were supposed to live here on the pier. But, as I mentioned, it was illegal to have people stay here 24 hours. So, we characterized it as a 24-hour film studio. Pretty clever. Pier 70 was once home to the Washington State Liquor Control Board, now home to a couple of bars, and I believe they're going to be home to an AI think tank here soon. They just have somebody buy the building up, and they're going to renovate it and make it into something new. There will still be the retail stations down there, actually. Now we're coming alongside the Space Needle for our best up-close photo. Definitely get up, move around, get your cameras out. It's a good time for that. The whole time you're on this vessel, feel free to get up and move around. You are not beholden to your chair, unless you're trying to hold it and make sure it's sealed. Now down below the Space Needle is a nice grass area with a big sculpture. If you flip back towards Pier 70, you're going to see a big white face way back there. That is going to be Echo. Echo is from Greek mythology, and as such is staring in a very particular direction. Directly at us right now, past us, that direction into the Olympic Mountain, where there is Mount Olympus. I have found the Olympic Mountain, but that is where they cannot go. Alongside this big long beach here. This beach here has several little alcoves you can kind of walk down the water. And you know what? I do not suggest swimming in this water beach for 10 minutes or no fever, to be honest with you, if ever. Speed of sound is anywhere from 45 to 55 degrees, and they tell you you will get hypothermia in about 6 minutes, and it will be fully set in a 10. It is not a good time. Definitely do not go swimming in this water. The lake's kind of nice for yourself. But definitely don't go swimming around here. Now this whole park you're crossing along is known as Myrtle Edwards Park. Myrtle Edwards was once a Seattle City Councilwoman back in the 1950s and 60s, and you can attribute the fact that our city is so beautiful and green to Myrtle Edwards directly, which is why we named this park after her. She spent her time in city council buying up bits of land for the city and running the little green space. Her goal was to make it so that each and every Seattle resident could walk out their front door and be no more than a 10-minute walk to a green space. Well, we clearly achieved that goal because we have the highest number of parks per capita here in Seattle than any other United States city. Just there in the middle of the park, you're noticing some rocks on cement platforms. That was actually a sculpture noted adjacent against a pond. You can see how the rocks are adjacent to, against, and upon these cement bricks. It's fun, but I never would have guessed that was a sculpture, especially having to climb all over it and been up close to it myself. I had no idea. I thought it was just something in the park. Rose Park is definitely a great place to go running, jogging, walking, whatever you want to do. It's a fun place. It's not commuter trails to go through. We actually have these commuter trails all over Seattle. They connect us to and from different ends of the city, so you don't have to drive everywhere. You can bike, you can skate, you can skateboard, do whatever you want just to get to and from without having to be on the city streets. This one connects all the way up to Burt Gilman Trail, right up there by the Ballard Locks, or Durham Amphibian Locks up in Ballard. I definitely suggest you go visit those. You could visit them on our locks tour, yes. But you don't have to. You can walk. It's definitely fun to go walk and see the Ballard Locks. You can walk across the locks. There is always one door closed and possibly one door open on each of the locks. So there's always a footpath across them. They're super cool, and they are definitely a modern feat of engineering for sure. Now, inside of this park, you're also going to notice these arches down there along the waterfront there, the little wooden ones. That is actually a little rose garden during summer. It blooms rather beautifully. It's a good spot for selfies and photography and things like that. Definitely go and visit that whole area. Down the water here, these are fingerling pens. These pens are for our local salmon populations. We are helping to rebuild. 2 of the local native tribes run these. They pen them in right there so that the birds and the things like that are sitting right there on them, those are cormorants, they love to eat little fish, and so they pen them in to make it so that they can't get to them, so that they'll survive a little longer in the natural waters they're supposed to be in, helping kind of rejuvenate the population of those salmon. Now we are cruising up alongside this big black and red vessel, directly under a feeding station. Right now you can actually see the dust coming off that feeder into the belly of the beast there. This is a bulk freighter. That bulk freighter carries exactly one product at a time. It is just a big, open, empty belly of the beast there. The product that is getting loaded in right now is going to be cattle-grade grain from the Midwest, and that is actually our largest export by volume here in Seattle. We ship it here from the Midwest, like I said, by a train, put it here into these vessels because we are approximately 250 nautical miles further west than any other West Coast port, giving us an advantage in shipping times. So it is about a day to 2 days closer to our Eastern Asian trading partners, just based on the way that the globe is shaped. It's pretty neat if you ask me. Now you can notice the fact that that vessel is kind of leaning back. That means the back end of the vessel is a lot more full than the front end of the vessel. When you notice that red paint on the valence, that is when the vessel will be basically full. That is what's known as the International Load Liner, the Plimsoll mark. On the back of that vessel, you'll see just behind that big stack of the M on it, the orange thing right there. That is a lifeboat. And let me tell you, getting one of those is going to be exciting. If you launch them, they can actually just climb in the back, everything strapped in, and I mean strapped in, 4-point, 5-point harness, whatever it is. And then they can just launch themselves off the back of the vessel there. They can, however, rotate that back section and allow it to lower down safely when they need to. So you do not have to launch them out. Just send it every time. Yeah, I feel like that's only good the first time. Because you definitely hit the water and you'll bounce a few times. It'll be crazy. I want to do it personally, one of these days. Alright, now in between that big grain silo on the right and this next building, there's a white structure right there. That white structure looks like it's all twisted metal. It's a pedestrian bridge that takes people across those train yards right there to the main street so they can catch buses and things like that. Now that bridge is in the shape of a double helix for a very specific reason, and that's because the building to the left of it used to be owned by a company known as Amgen. They actually built that building. Amgen was a biotech company specializing in DNA research. Now this building was sold to one of our other very large exports here in Seattle. It's not hipsters, it's not weed, it's going to be tech. That's right. That is definitely one of our biggest exports here in the Pacific Northwest is tech. We've got all the biggest things here, you know, Microsoft, Google, in this case, Expedia.com. They bought this building. They were going to move into it back in 2020 during about March, and they got to use the building for approximately 1 day before they sent everybody home wearing a mask. That's right. Pretty expensive purchase to not get to use the building for about 6 months. But I have some friends that work there, and they're pretty much up to capacity. Doing good now.
Guys,
but I'm sure every single one of these use Expedia.com website just to get here today. They got about 200
it's crazy.
Now we're cruising alongside Smith Cove, and we've got Pier 90 is this one that says Lineage on it. That is right next to its twin of Pier 91. That's right, here in Seattle we can count. If you go from the other end of the harbor up, they're all in order now. It didn't used to be that way. We didn't used to know how to count. Now we do. So on the right you got Pier 90, and on the left you got Pier 91. To the right side is the cold storage facility where a lot of the Alaskan trawling fleet is. It looks like they have decided it's time to go get some fish, or probably crab, and headed back out somewhere. Now this vessel you're seeing here, America's Finest, is one of those factory trawler processor fishes vessels. It is sitting on Pier 91 where we have two of our cruise ship terminals. That's right, you can fit some of the very largest cruise ships here in the world at these two piers because they're two of the longest piers in the Northern Hemisphere. They're originally built for the U.S. Army and Navy as an embarkation point during World War II. Off to the left, you'll notice a big white house. That big white house right there with the light on it, that was the Admiral's house. He would preside over his fleet here in Elliott Bay. And to the left of that, you're going to see a sea of masts. Lots of sailboats and private vessels. That is Elliott Bay Marina, one of the largest marinas here in Seattle, but only one of two, so it's not a hard lift. Inside of that, you're going to find my top 3 restaurant pick, known as Palisades. Palisades is definitely going to be where you go for your special occasions for seafood and American fare. It is absolutely spectacular. There's a koi pond as soon as you step inside the front door. I highly suggest it, but it is a little pricey. Now, let's take a look behind us. Everybody turn around and take a look at that big old mountain out there. That is, as Captain Charlie mentioned, Mount Tahoma. Somebody named it Mount Rainier at one point in time, which is probably what you've heard it called before, but Mount Tahoma is what the locals call it. I don't know why we called it Mount Rainier, because that man had never ever set foot in Washington State, let alone seen the mountains. So, I think we should just keep calling Mount Tahoma, because that is what it should be called. It is one of the tallest mountains here in the entire state, 14,500 feet tall, and it is an active volcano. If you're learning about the area, we are surrounded by active volcanoes. There's 5. Pretty much within eyesight if you knew what you were looking for. Maybe get up 100 feet or so. You could definitely see most of them. That would be Mount Baker, Mount Adams, Mount Rainier, Mount St. Helens, and Glacier Peak. They're all pretty close, and if you are on top of one, chances are you can see another. Pretty neat, if you ask me. And one of the best things out here in Washington, especially being on the bay, being in the water, is that you can actually see 2 mountain ranges right now. So off to the right, we've actually got the Olympic mountain range. And to the left, the Cascade Mountain Range, including Mount Rainier. Pretty amazing, which actually gives us access to a lot of great ski resorts. From here, you can get to about 3 within 2 hours. We've got Snoqualmie Pass, about, I don't know, 45 to an hour away, depending on what time of day it is, and if you're any good at driving. You can head up to Stevens Pass, which is about 2 hours from here. You can head a little bit past Stevens Pass to go to Leavenworth, which is our little Bavarian village. And then we also have Crystal Mountain, which is on one of the arms of Mount Rainier. So it's about 2.5 hours away from here. Pretty close. If you're looking for world record-setting snow, however, you're going to want to spend some time driving. You're going to want to drive all the way up past Bellingham to Mount Baker. Mount Baker has world record snowfall. And let me tell you, I used to work there for about 4 or 5 years, and it is incredible. The snow cannot get deeper than that absolutely anywhere else. It's amazing. They get a whole different weather cycle than we do here. Off in the Olympic mountain range, we actually do have a ski resort. It's not really very big. It's a couple of lifts at best. That would be Hurricane Ridge. Hurricane Ridge is dead center in the middle of those Cascades, and you got to go all the way up past Port Angeles, to the left a little bit, and then up to the coast, and you'll be up there. It's a pretty cool place to go. Hey, look at that, a sailboat. Here in Puget Sound, we are avid sailors. You might wonder why we would be avid sailors when we are in such protected water. Well, we get pretty decent wind and not a lot of rain. It works out pretty nicely. You don't have to fight against, 5 foot hour. That one's for Captain Charlie. But anyways, I'm an avid sailor here. I've raced a lot of the races. If you want to truly be terrified while sailing, you can go do some of the big races up in the open or more open waters out around the San Juans, like around the county race that happens in November.